In today's Leeds news, Gilchrist update, Harrison exit details, Millar update, Betis in for Llorente, and Leeds financial situation clarified. Folks, Ger here at The View on Tuesday the 25th of June with your Leeds United news. A couple of little small bits to bring you up to date with. The championship fixtures are released tomorrow, and we will have some form of a stream with Andrew Dalton as well, just to look at the entirety of the fixtures that will be put out tomorrow and analyse where the key ones are going to be for Leeds next season. Also, just to put out a quick thing, I've been asked about the Willie Gnonto rumours. The reports yesterday that another club had put an offer in for Willie Gnonto was Everton. That story has come from Peter O'Rourke in Football Insider, so we won't be covering that because it appears to be what you would expect from Football Insider, and appears to be a whole lot of noise for not an awful lot of substance. There doesn't appear to have been a bid from Everton put in officially to Leeds United. Football Insider stretching again, and there's a couple of stories that we'll cover today that will also lean into stuff that Football Insider have said and will disprove some of that information again as well. I keep saying to people, if you're looking for credible places to look for your information, Football Insider is probably not the right place to look. But we've got a bit to get through today. There will be more content from me coming over a couple of months. I got some bad news this week that I've been my contract at my company is not being renewed, so I will be unemployed for the first time in my life going into next week. So you may see some more different types of content come out. I won't bombard people, I won't overdo it. I know that's something that I've been mindful of, but you may see some different types of programming coming into the start of the season as well, while I look for another job. But we'll see what happens. We'll crack on though today, and we'll get on with the news. We'll start off with the Alfie Gilchrist rumour, and Leeds have been repeatedly linked with a move for the Chelsea youngster over this summer. Ben Jacobs earlier this month spoke to the Just Joe football show, and on that show he's told Joe that Leeds had a keen interest in the Chelsea youngster, and that Chelsea themselves would be minded to sell the player out on loan, but that it was likely that the player would do the pre-season tour with Chelsea, as Enzo Maresca will like to have a look at him, but at that point then they will approve a loan to the Championship. The player is not expected to be part of their first team plans this season. Now, according to The Athletic, Chelsea have made that decision, and they are basically saying that they have agreed to sanction a loan move to a Championship club for Gilchrist next season. Chelsea do like the player, they do see him as a long-term prospect for them, but they do understand that he is unlikely to break in to the team this season, so therefore a loan would be something that they would like to see happen. The report also states that there are other clubs that are interested in the player, and Cesc Fabregas recently promoted side Como are now said to be interested in the player as well, as they move in to a situation where they'll be in Serie A next season and looking to bolster their squad. Chelsea do, as I said, like Gilchrist, but Leeds is seen as a logical move for the player, and a move that the player himself is said to be very interested in. Ben Jacobs has gone a step further today by confirming that Leeds United are said to have put in a formal inquiry to Chelsea about taking the youngster on loan for next season. It would be a straight up loan. It's unlikely to have any options in that contract either. It's likely just to be a straight up clean loan for the player, who will go back then at the end of the season, but could be a very good player for Leeds in this division. Would likely give Leeds a bit more depth as well, so one to keep an eye on there for me. He's been rumoured for quite a while, and I would definitely keep an eye on that situation and see where it moves to. Yesterday we found out that the finalisation of Jack Harrison's move away from Leeds had been completed, and Jack Harrison has now confirmed on his own social media channels the exit, as well as Everton confirming it, Leeds confirming it, and Fabrizio Romano's confirmed it. So everyone has confirmed that Jackie is off. Harrison did wish all at Leeds all the best for next season in a small little post at the end of his social post, but also said that he was delighted to be returning to Everton next season. The deal itself was said to have some form of a buy option in it, but that wasn't made very clear at the time. Now Graham Smith in the YEP has done a bit of a bigger deep dive into this to explain the situation, and Graham Smith has claimed that the existence of a £20 million option to buy is not in the contract, and the only caveat to this loan is that Everton will cover 100% of Jack Harrison's wages, which is still seen as a big relief for Leeds getting his Premier League wages off their books, but there is currently no option to buy in that deal. Now, it does go on to say that doesn't mean that Everton won't look to buy the player. It's very possible, but that won't happen until their financial takeover has taken place. If Leeds were to get promoted next season, Harrison's loan exit clause would then be defunct, and Leeds would likely look to sell the player during the next sets of windows. Harrison's loan exit is seen as a source of frustration for Leeds, because Leeds do view Jack Harrison as a sellable asset, but because of this loan agreement that was put in his contract by Victor Orta before a relegation, Leeds are unable to sell the player before this loan agreement is taken into account. So that's allowed Jack to move on loan again. There are lots of people who ask, why didn't Leeds just sell Harrison? Unfortunately, the loan takes precedence over this, and that has to be dealt with first. So that contract that Victor Orta negotiate with Jack Harrison is costing Leeds money right now in terms of selling the player. It won't cost us anything next season in terms of his wages, so at least that's a relief to Leeds. Moving on to a player that was linked very heavily with Leeds yesterday, and we talked about Preston's on loan Canadian winger Liam Millar and the reports that he had been linked with a move to Leeds United. Some more information around the player's situation has come out today, and the Athletic have reported that Millar is keen to stay in England and is keen to pen a longer term contract with an English club. The player himself cost Ball just over £1.3 million when they purchased him from Liverpool, and he is entering into the final year of his contract. So if he was to wait till Christmas, he could negotiate a free transfer to an English club because his parent club is outside of the UK, and that would be something that they will want to keep in mind. Burnley, Leeds and Sheffield United are all labelled as the front runners for Millar next season, but as I said, Liverpool do have what's referred to as a 20% sell-on clause. So in one sense, Ball will try and bring in as much money as they can in order to offset some of that 20% sell-on and still make a profit on the 1.3 they paid on the player. But it is likely that that might not happen given the fact that there's only 12 months left on his deal. He can negotiate a free contract in 6 months' time. He is looking at heading towards England. So it's very likely that Ball will look to sell the player this summer. And Leeds are labelled, as I said, as one of the standout clubs for that player. But it's been interesting to see. A lot of people are excited about this. He is a steady player. 5 goals, 5 assists last season. I know it doesn't set the world on fire comparative to what Chris Somerville did, but you surround him with better players, different management, you can see the best in that player. There's definitely an awful lot to like about what Liam Millar could bring to Leeds United, a bit more directness as well, and he is a good finisher. There's a lot of similarities in terms of him cutting inside and bending shots, which we've seen him do against Leeds with Crescencio Somerville, but outside of that, there's a lot more to his game than just that. He's a much more direct player, and assists are a big part of what he does as well. So it'd be an exciting player for Leeds to bring in. He is keen on a move to England. Leeds are one of the 3 clubs, Burnley and Sheffield United. Who's the more attractive club in that situation? You know, I'd love to know your thoughts on that down below in the comments. Let me know. And then moving into a surprise story that came out this morning around another potential sale from a Leeds player to Real Betis, and with Marc Roca's deal to Betis all but completed, it now appears that Real Betis are turning their attentions to another Leeds player. Reports in Italy suggest that Diego Llorente is high on Real Betis' shortlist right now, and despite the fact that AS Roma was labelled as a likely, and still is probably a likely location for Llorente to finish up in, and the fact that the player is interested in going there and they want him, it is said that Real Betis have a keen interest in the player. Also, now according to El Desmarquez, they claim that there is serious competition for the defender. We did say before there was some interest in the player, but it seemed to go really quiet on that front. But now El Desmarquez are saying there is more to this. It's said that Betis are interested in a move for Diego Llorente this summer, having lost key centre-backs and defenders to other clubs, one of which went to Crystal Palace, and they would see Diego Llorente as an ideal replacement for some of them. Roma and Betis are 2 clubs that are not known for spending lots and lots of money on players, and we've seen a kind of a tough negotiation with Leeds to get Marc Roca for what's rumoured to be about £5 million. But some creative negotiation with Leeds here, with Betis, around both of these players could see Leeds bring in slightly more money than the £4.3 million handshake agreement that's in place with Roma, and the £5 million agreement that's in place with Betis right now for Roca. Maybe selling 2 players for the price of one, and maybe go for a little bit higher than 9.5 million and get into the tens, might be something that interests Leeds and helps Leeds' situation there. And then finally today, to talk about the Leeds financial situation, as a lot of people think the world is still on fire and Leeds are heading towards a massive fire sale, but there's some good news on that front. In a piece in the YEP, Joe Donoghue has written, it looks at Leeds' financial state right now with the 30th of June PSR deadline looming 5 days away. Leeds have yet to sell any of their big ticket players that have been rumoured that Leeds would need to sell before the 30th of deadline. That's one area that means you can be slightly more relaxed about that situation. But in the piece, Joe covers Leeds' losses over the last couple of seasons and basically points out that Leeds will need to adjust from lose £33.7 million per year in the Premier League to being allowed to lose £12.6 million in the EFL, with one season in between and no TV money from Sky. He does go on though to point out that the sales of Tyler Adams and Luis Sinisterra will be taken into consideration in the current set of financial records, and that the Red Bull, not only equity purchase of Leeds United but also the shirt sponsorship, is a major contributing factor to this as well. You take in Will Ferrell's investment money as well, and Russell Crowe's investment into the club, and all of that has to be taken into consideration. And Joe Donoghue says that by taking all this into consideration, you can see that Leeds are abiding by the PSR rules. Now, Parag Marathe said that he expects Leeds to be right on the lip of compliance with the PSR deadline, so we can push that as far as we can possibly push it to be as competitive as we need to be. That appears to be the case here. Donoghue says that a major player sale pre-PSR deadline would greatly help the situation from a financial reporting perspective, but given how Leeds have done their business so far this summer, Donoghue says Leeds appear to be on a sound financial footing, and any massive sale rumours that have come out now appear to be untrue. And that would go back to the initial Football Insider thing that said that Leeds would need to sell players before the 30th and sell major players with this £190 million debt that's hanging over the club, which isn't that. It's transfer fees broken up over length of contracts, and some of it's already been paid, and there's £73 million due between the last set of financials and the next set. Leeds have already brought in over 60 of that currently already, so it's not the financial meltdown people expect, or in some situations it's not the financial meltdown that some people would like to see Leeds United go through. So as it stands right now, no major sale. You may see a player sale before the end of the 30th. That will help from a financial reporting perspective, but it's not massively needed in case Leeds go past that deadline without selling it. It means Leeds are on a pretty decent financial footing, and we can be excited about the transfer. And again, what Larry Nance Jr., one of the Leeds investors and NBA players, said on the Or to Know Better podcast, he's excited about the summer that Leeds have ahead, knowing what he knows. So they're excited. I'm excited. We'll see how it goes. And that's going to be it for me today, folks. Back in the morning for more Leeds news, and you can check out the live stream around the fixture release, and there'll be a podcast towards the end of the week as well. So I will see you tomorrow morning for more Leeds news. Enjoy the rest of your day.